Shalom everyone. Happy Hanukkah to all. So we want to start with something for the specialness of the day. Where we are today in the fifth candle of Hanukkah, and just to speak about a few ideas about this very interesting holiday. You know that there are two kinds of holidays for Israel. There are holidays that are written in Torah, that Torah dictates us to celebrate, and there are holidays that are you can see it as they came through history, post Torah, and not written in Torah, but only established by Chazal, by our sages, during the long history of exile and redemption, and there were actually many holidays similar to Hanukkah that they represented victories, wars, and success of Jewish people to defend the land of Israel and to defend the Torah and the Holy Temple. But actually, almost all of them were cancelled or stopped after the destruction of the temple. Okay, so I'm continuing. Please be welcome, by the way, to suggest and ask any question you have about Hanukkah. Please be welcome. So the specialness of Hanukkah is it didn't the sages saw very unique importance in this holiday, that it shouldn't be cancelled and stopped celebrating, even though the temple was destroyed and destructed actually a bit more than 200 years after this great win of Hashmonaim in Hanukkah, and purifying the temple and resuming the serving Hashem in the temple. It was cancelled after 200 years, but they saw importance in keeping this holiday. And I just want to talk a bit about why is it important. And I guess in Andhra Pradesh there are probably many wars for India versus India's enemies, or I don't know, through the history, but you're not usually you don't want to celebrate, to make a holiday for each and every win in a battle. So it's not just a mere battle between the Greek and the Jewish people that were in the land of Israel, but it's something more. It's about we are learning Mesilat Yesharim, and we talked about the darkness of this material world and the bodily desires and needs that shutting our spiritual eyes and spiritual development, and this is similar to what was the fight between Greek and the Jews. Hanukkah is actually not about the Greek. They didn't want to, they didn't want to kill, to just murder all the Jewish nation. They wanted something else. They wanted the Jewish people to become like Greeks, to become Hellenists, to adopt the culture of Hellenism, of Greek. And it's like for the Jewish people, it was like giving up the Torah and the eternal link with serving of Hashem, and the fundamental belief that our role in this world is to spread the belief, the monotheistic belief of Hashem, and the relationship and the partnership between God and His created human beings. And therefore, Chazal even they have an expression for Greek. They call it. They say that the kingdom of Greek is like a darkness. It's like a darkness, and it's interesting that we learn it in the path of righteousness, Mesilat Yesharim. This world is darkness, and when you look at the Greek civilization, you see that well, they did great things, right? All the philosophy came out from the Greek thinkers. The old Western philosophy started with the Plato and Socrates and Aristotle. So how can Chazal, our sages, are declaring it's like it's a darkness? So that's the important idea of Chanukah, because Chanukah is a symbol of receiving a life which is not a human being, not only this world life, but it's something that came from outside, from our Creator, from the Almighty, to us. So it's a light that has a holiness. It's a divine light of Torah and commandments and the kindness of Hashem. And the Greek wanted to cancel this very point. They wanted to see the Torah as a book. It's a book which is has a nice story, but it's only a book saying as the Greek philosophy. So they wanted to how to say to make it like a human, just a simple human a book, and not something divine, not something which is external and came from heaven to us. To serve our Creator. So the fight was majorly a spiritual battle, and that's what great in Chanukah. We see that the providence, the help of Hashem is something that cannot be disconnected, something that always keep, and Matityahu, the head of Chashmonaim, the head of this very, very unique family that fought the Greeks against all chances, all odds. They didn't have any some organized army, but the eternal point of the protection of Hashem is revealed here in Chanukah. And even though the temple was destructed 200 years later, and the Hashmonaim family got to very, very bad and poor state later on in their kingdom, although all these failures, it revealed that we left with the Torah survived the spiritual fight, the spiritual battle of the Greeks, and they stood and to keep the oral Torah, the learning of Torah. There was a lot of the rules of the Greeks against learning Torah, against observing the commandments and circumcision. So we try to show the importance of Hanukkah as a spiritual victory, and this is for generations. This is like saving the Torah from being abandoned, from saving the Jews to know that there is an eternal link, and Hashem will not abandon his nation and the world, actually, because the light of Hanukkah is what it symbolizes the power of keeping the Torah, the commandments, and the small Chanukiah, the small candle of Hanukkah, something that guided the Jewish nation in 2,000 years of exile, and to observe commandments and to know that Hashem is always keeping his people, and the Torah eternal value is something that cannot be eliminated, and that's what's very, very special about Hanukkah. That even though the Greeks had their idol worship and their new disciplines, we see it. We see it even after 2,000 years. We see that today the same pattern, the same problems that were raised in this in the ancient era of Greek. It happens today as well. Today. We have evolution of these ideas by the Western culture has many similar issues. Like in America, they once wanted all of the world to be an American and to drink cola and take Coke and to eat hamburger, burgers, and it's something that come to fight the basic belief, and we always have this fight between cultures, between nations, and by celebrating Hanukkah, we are giving thanks to Hashem that the spiritual light cannot be diminished, and with this power we can help proceeding and progressing the redemption and the light to be light to the nations, and to help all other cultures to see the real light, and not the shadows and illusions. And that's just a small issue of the light of Hanukkah. Please be welcome to raise any questions, or Yoshua, if you want to translate something, or it's okay.
రబ్బీ గారు చెప్పిన విషయం అర్థమైంది కదా. ఏమైనా ప్రశ్నలు ఉంటే అడగండి, లేకపోతే మనం క్లాసు కంటిన్యూ చేసుకోవచ్చు. בבקשה.
אוקיי.
תיקה.
בסדר. we can move on to where we stopped in the book, in the Mesilat Yesharim.
בבקשה, כן. אנחנו מדברים על garden maze, I think.
כן. Right, so just to do a small reminder for everyone. Last time we stopped at the third chapter of Mesilat Yesharim, and we explained the divisions of the trait of watchfulness. In Telugu, Jaglata, right? Jaglata?
Okay.
Okay. Right. So we explained the difference. The Ramchal is explaining us something that is very unique to this practice of ethical learning. It's not like it's not only a theoretical, but rather a very practical way of. In all our actions, we have to examine. We have to be consciousness and monitoring our actions as much as we can. We should not become, too slow and become snails and think on each and every step, but we have to set times and places to contemplate and to see what we did good, what we did bad, what bad thing, what good things. And that was the subject of the third chapter. And then we got to the end of the chapter where Ramchal brings an interesting parable of the maze garden. We can all see in this picture what Ramchal had in mind when what he visually actually see when he was writing the path of righteous. So the parable is about this very, very interesting garden maze that you can get lost because all paths are confusing and similar, and you don't see the right pathway. Ramchal is explaining many confusing and interesting paths, all similar to one another. The purpose of the whole being to challenge one to reach a portico in their midst. Some of the paths are straight ones which lead directly to the portico, but some cause one to stray and to wander from it. And the walker between the paths has no way of seeing or knowing whether he is on the true or the false path, for they are all similar, presenting no difference whatsoever to the observing eye. He will not reach his goal unless he has a perfect familiarity and visual acquaintance with the path through his having traversed them and reached the portico. So we talked about it's to Hanukkah, to light and darkness. We talked about this lower world that we are living in is the world of darkness. That's what Ramchal previously told us. We have a darkness because we are a soul that is surrounded by bodily environment. We are inside a body, and we have desires and craving and the even inclination that we have. It's distracting us. It's like going into a maze, and the challenge is to get to a higher porch, like a portico. It's like that you can see, that you can understand what way is what is the true way to take, and the message of the parable from Ramchal is that he who wants to be salvated, to succeed, getting to the center, to the right point, he has to understand and to know what is the trick, what is the right way to do it, and he's saying that it's like when someone is how can you see the right way? Only if you have if you stand above the garden and you look at it from above, as we saw in the picture, then you can see, okay, right, this is the way, and that's the way to the center, to the upper porch, and that's where I have to walk. and what the meaning of the parable is that the ones who truly see the way to go in this world of darkness that we are living in is the sages, and they can see the right path, and they can instruct us. So we have to listen to the sages, to the people that already got to the right path, and so we will be able to direct us and give us the right advice how to get out of the maze, and so the maze is our evil inclination that drives us in this world, and what Ramchal is saying, you have to listen to the sages, and the sages' advice for you is to follow your reason, your higher level of spirituality and ethics that you can practice in your mind, in your sechel, in the intellectual effort of each one. And first of all, it showed that Ramchal is suggesting that each and every one has a possibility, has a chance to get to the right path. Right? He's saying if you listen to sages, if you are adopting their advice, everyone can succeed and improve himself wherever he is found, and uplift himself in spiritual level, and to become more holy, more sage, and more connected to Hashem's light in this world. It's like, we are in the path of righteousness. The path is like a rail, and and we have to go step by step, and always to make sure that we are in progress, and we have to understand the advice of the sages that are like the people that already got to the higher porch and looking from above, and what it was their suggestion for us. It was it is let's make an account of our deeds, account of losing a mitzvah, losing commandments, versus earning the reward for commandments, or committing a sin, a transgression, versus avoiding sins, avoiding transgression of the commandments, and that's the advance, the highly characteristics of human being that is given by God, that we can we have the power to control our bodily nature, not unlike animals and lower creatures. We have this unique power, but it's not as simple. It's not easy for us, and the maze of garden is everywhere we go. For example, if in our daily life we always have this danger of getting into maze, like what it is in some habits. We have so many habits. We want to even if we have good intentions, but we sometimes can drift into problems of not obeying the rules of the country, of the state. I don't know how is it in Andhra Pradesh. To say, okay, we can bypass some rule of the government, some rule of and we can always say, okay, everyone is doing such and such, and we can do it also. And even the smallest issues of rules of driving in the road and parking, etc. Everywhere we go, we can fall into the maze and follow our desires and forgetting to truly contemplate and understand what is best to do, how to help others, how to show caring, how to show that we are implementing godly characteristics inside ourselves towards others, and that's the maze of God, and that we are struggling in our daily life. So we have to look at this parable and see where everyone should see in his world, in his life, where he meets these challenges, and where we have to adopt the sages' advice of, as Yeshua mentioned in the chapters of fathers. Our sages are writing who is the hero, the real conqueror, is the one it is the one that governs his desires, the one that conquers his desires and is in governing and controlling. He's the real hero, because it's like we he talks that it's like the most the greatest kingdom is one's body and one's bodily needs and desires. It's a great kingdom to rule and to govern, and even more than kingdom of David and Solomon. It's something that is really great, and that's the advice of sages for us. And that's what we have to do with our reason, with our intellect. We have to observe and to see good and bad, and wherever we go, not to sometimes we may tend to enter in something like a loop, an endless loop of habits and customs, and Ramchal saying you should keep in mind that it's very dangerous. It's like it's like soldiers that are walking inside a dark forest, and they don't know which path to take, and they can get into danger with unexpected enemy inside this forest. So Ramchal is saying in the spiritual realm, it's the same severity, the same danger is in the spiritual level of living. So we have guidance from the sages that already got into the higher level, and they can direct us, and we have our own effort of ethical work and contemplation and consciousness to help us to get better, and it's something that is it's for all our life. It's something that is like an endless effort. There was a very high, great Jewish scholar, Rabbi, that passed away last week, and I just remember that he was the head of the Jewish Haredi movement. Like it's like one of the greatest public in Israel, and they just read what he wrote in his will after death, what he asked to do. So it's amazing. It was amazing to see that he asked for such a simple and humble request. He asked to be buried with the simple people, among simple people, because he said, I'm just a normal, same as all other simple layman people, and he asked not to be praised and not to have speeches of glorifying him and his values, and he said, do it as simple as you can, and don't instruct his scholars, his pupils, don't call your children after my name, and it was just amazing to see that he was very old, Rebbe Steinman, and he was 104 years when he passed away. So, and he just asked for such a humble, as a great leader, he asked for such a humble request, and don't praise me, don't do public events for me, just you can read Psalms or something very, very simple, and you see that this the work of spiritual humble and not drifting to chase your own desire of being respected, of being praised, and either a dignity, and it's really an ongoing effort, and it's what Ramchal advising us for a lifetime work to do. Okay. So I think that concludes the third chapter. And we can try to start the fourth chapter. Do we have time?
Okay.
Okay. So
עכשיו זה בשלוש וחצי. మనం 4వ చాప్టర్ కొంత మొదలు పెట్టి క్లోజ్ చేసుకుందాం, ఓకేనా? ఇంకా 10 నిమిషాల వల్ల. אוקיי. בבקשה, עוד 10 דקות, משהו כזה, רבע שעה, ונמשיך כאילו עם פרק רביעי. הם מסכימים שזה עוד... חלק מהם ירדו, כנראה שזה אינטרנט לא עובד או משהו, יש בעיה כאילו היום.
You have some connection problems today?
Maybe I think. היו בעיות, אח שלי אמר שהיה איזה משהו עם אינטרנט.
Okay, so we can just do a small introduction and small start of the fourth chapter. So what we talked so far, the third chapter explains us the vision of trait of watchfulness. So we know what watchfulness consists of. And we know what is our work, and now Ramchal is discussing what is the way, or how can we know, how can we discern between good and evil. Okay, we understand the third chapter to say that we have to be careful, to watch our deeds, and to always not going after evil inclination, to do bad deeds, but how do we know good and bad, right and wrong and evil? So Ramchal starts discussing what's our methods to understand this. Okay, so first of all, I will try to read the first passage. Okay, so first passage is that which is in general brings the person to study. As Rabbi Pinchas stated in the beginning of the Baraita, Torah brings one to watchfulness. Right, so So we talked about this statement from the Babylonian Talmud of Rabbi Pinchas of the listing of traits, right? The listing of ethical personality traits in the that consists of the path of righteous. We talked about 12 traits, and we separated that we have 3 traits that are not in our hands. It's like more godly, right? With Torah we receive Torah by God's will, and we can get to prophecy by God's help. So and the resurrection of dead. So these 3 was they were something that we need godly help, and we are concentrating in the other 9 traits, which watchfulness is the first one. But Ramchal is saying you have to practice, you have to learn Torah in order to understand what watchfulness applies for. What's good and evil, and how do you know good and evil? You have to learn Torah, and Torah is not, it's not something specific. It could be any kind of learning, like learning Torah, learning the oral Torah, learning halacha, every category of learning Torah, learning ethics from Torah studies. Everything you learn will eventually help you progress and help you. It's not like it's not like learning scientific subjects that if you learn geometry, you're not becoming with the geometry characteristics. But learning Torah, even if one is very, very far from spirituality and far from observing commandments, if you learn regularly and persistently, so you will eventually adapt and will come to identify yourself and your needs and your thinking with what Torah gives you. So the Torah learning is revealing the higher ethical level, the godly knowledge of ethical practice for us, and that's what we have to follow. That's what Ramchal is explaining. Right, but then Ramchal is very, very, he has a very, very ordered way of teaching, and he's explaining us, well, there is a different levels and different motivations of learning Torah, different motivations of people, why they want to become a better person, why they want to observe commandments. And Ramchal is saying that there are it is divided into three types of three levels of learning Torah, and because Torah is for all, Torah is for anyone in any spiritual level to learn and to understand there are different drives for people. Basically, he's saying, there are people that cares about wholeness of being holy and being spiritual and observing Hashem's commandment and serving Hashem and only forgetting to redemption. Ramchal calls this the higher level of the people in this world. They don't want something for themselves. They don't have a small interest, but rather they really want to contribute and to do what their duty in order for the sake of Hashem's glory in this world. So that's like the higher level. But there are also different people, other people that are not aware or not they didn't learn, they don't know much of serving Hashem, and they know have a basic knowledge, and what they care about is chasing after being respected. We have the very, very central motive that we are fighting. We have our ego, and our ego tells us that we need the respect. People. Rambam is talking about that people can do very, very courageous and crazy things just because they want others to respect them, right? Much more than chasing after money or after anything else. Sometimes people just want so much to be respected, to gain dignity from others, so they dedicate their lives for that. And the idea here, is that even though it's not ideal, even though it's not the best, but you can use this drive of asking for respect. You can use it in order to learn Torah, in order to become a better person. You can use this lower level, the medium level of people, and that's about the second level of learning Torah. And just to complete this division, and Ramchal saying there is also the lower levels. It's people that saying like, well, I don't know much. I don't want to gain too much part in the world to come. It's okay for me. I just want to have fun in this world, to live a simple life. So for these people, what Ramchal is saying, only what they only care is not go to be burned in hell. So that's Ramchal is calling it the fear of punishment. So for these people, you can explain and you can teach Torah in a way that they will be convinced that they must run away from sins and from transgression of commandments in order to save themselves from punishment and from some from the judgment that is expecting them in the world to come in heaven after they die. So it's like it's three different levels, like like in ancient India, there was like castas, right? The caste of the priest and the lower, and right. So there was untouchable, so the different castas. But in this idea, it's different because these three levels can be inside the same person. One person can sometimes, sometimes be frightened, be fear of getting punishment, and sometimes he will learn, he will chase to be a respected person, so he will be in the medium level, and sometimes he will actually want to do for the sake of Hashem and to be like ideal and to be a great sage and to serve Hashem and to learn Torah for this purpose. So it's like the levels, the different levels. It's like a casta that is inside of man's mind, and he has to do the best in serving Hashem in each and every level that he is at any point. Okay, so I will just try to summarize this beginning of fourth chapter. So it speaks about the concerning the manner of acquiring watchfulness. How do we know good and evil? And Ramchal is saying, well, it's mainly comes from Torah learning, and many ways of Torah learning. We will discuss it in future, but what brings a person to what motivates a person to learn is different, and there's the three levels we started talking about, and there's the ones that realize that Hashem's let's say they want to follow Hashem's agenda. They say, okay, well, the Almighty, He has a progress, He has a plan. I want to be committed to His plan. It's not for myself. I'm not earning. I don't have any gain. Something that I have a self-interest. If it will be good for the world, so it will be good for me as well. But I'm like an idealist person, and I want to be part of this plan of Hashem. It's like the higher level of people that are learning Torah in order to acquire traits of watchfulness and become better, but this is only one kind. But Ramchal is saying, well, we still have to help another two levels of people, which is the medium level is people that are aware of Torah and commandments, but they still live in this life, and they are not. They feel they are part of the let's say the daily life, and they need respect, and they want to have a ego that drives them to gain respect in everything they do. So even when they learn Torah, they still want to get something. It's like a natural need. Well, I want to donate money to donate charity, so I want to be published in the newspaper that I did this, and I will get respect, and it will be nice for me. And there's a lot of examples, and Ramchal saying that how how far people can go for chasing after being respected by others. But he's saying, well, it's fine. It can help people to improve, and maybe eventually they will get to a higher level, or maybe it's sometimes it's inside the same person, that he has something that is from second level and something from the higher level, and that is the second level of people. And the third one is much basic and described as people that living a simple life in this world and are not aware or not they didn't learn much Torah, and without any understanding, they just want to be okay and to not to be threatened by going to hell, to going to be judged in the world to come and get punishments, and they are driven by this fear of judgment and punishment in the world to come. So their motivation of learning Torah and not sin is by the fear of punishment. That according to Ramchal is a lower level, but it's also it's a legitimate way of serving Hashem. Nonetheless, after all, it's also something which has ethical value and spiritual value, where a person afraid of sin, of punishment, and that's what helps him. Sometimes that's the only thing that helps man to run away from sin. Sometimes a man can get to a state where all his motivation is to be involved in a sin, and the only thing that saves him is to recall that there is a judgment and there will be a punishment, and he may lose and be in a very, very problematic situation, maybe in this world, maybe in the world to come, and that's how one can save his soul from sins, from transgression of our commandments, and that's a lower level. And we further on we have to continue to see the details of each and every of these levels in this chapter. Okay, that's about the summary of beginning of chapter 4.